We're about to get started here, if you wouldn't mind taking your seats. And then I'm going to ask you to, once you get to your seats, if you don't mind standing up for the prayer. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Claire, would you like to do roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Here.
Ms. Gaston,
Here.
Miss Alexander,
Here.
Miss Curitan,
Here.
Miss Clear,
Here.
Mr. Davis, Miss Chichester.
Here.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
has anyone heard any communication from Mr. Davis?
No. No.
No? I would like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Davis.
Is he coming in?
Oh,
Madam
is he
President.
coming in?
Oh, wait. Oh, talk very slow.
I rescind my motion, Madam President.
Mr. Davis, it's good to see you. Come join us. Okay, everybody has the agenda in front of them. Has everybody had a chance to look at it?
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to make time for our newly inducted police officers. Would it be appropriate for us to place that where the guest speaker is, or how would you like for us to place that?
I think that would be appropriate. Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Ms. Alexander and a second from Ms. Zorb to amend tonight's agenda to make room for our fellow police officers to have a swearing in. And we'll put that right before our guest speaker, Ms. Abrams. Do we have a motion to accept the agenda as amended, or?
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Gaston.
I know there's a motion on the floor. I would like to add to that. Is that a second motion, or can I add to Ms. Alexander's motion? Or do I wait?
Let's do a second motion. That way it
Okay.
doesn't get confusing. So right
Perfect.
now, we have a motion on the floor just to amend for the police officers portion of the evening. And if you need to make a second one, then we'll do it that one.
Okay.
Okay? Roll call.
Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Ms. Gaston?
Madam President, I would like to amend the agenda,
Okay.
adding a piece of legislation to the floor.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Madam President, I second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Curitan to add a piece of legislation to the agenda for tonight. Roll call?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester?
what's the legislation?
It is the City of North College Hill Resolution 01-2026, a resolution expressing former censure regarding certain statements and conduct by a member of City Council during an official meeting.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
No.
Motion passed 6-1.
Okay. Do we have the, a motion to accept?
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Zorb with a second from Ms. Clear to add a, to amend the agenda to, Ms. Gaston, if you'd like to reread that, what you had just stated.
City of North College Hill Resolution Number 01-2026, a resolution expressing formal censure regarding certain statements and conduct by a member of City Council during an official meeting. Sorry.
Roll call?
Madam Chair, I do believe that you all just voted on that piece, and I think the motion was to accept the agenda as amended.
Yes.
I apologize. There was many motions and many amendments tonight. Thank you for that. We really needed to amend, apparently. Okay, so moving on, since we have really done the agenda tonight, if we could look at the
Roll
minutes.
call. You gotta
We
do a
did.
roll call.
Well, that's what I was trying to do, was roll call.
Roll call for
for
the
accepting
agenda as amended.
That's what I was trying to do when I
Okay.
was,
Sorry.
okay. So as I was trying to do before, roll call.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. Everybody has the minutes in front of them?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'd like to make a minor amendment to the minutes for January 3rd. On page 6, which I'll just cut to the chase here. It is where we were assigning individuals to specific committees and chairs and vice chairs. There is a typo, and I don't know if it's a typo or if it needs to be in here, but it says Council Member Gaston made a motion to appoint Council Member Curitan as Vice Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, and then down where the actual motion is indicated in italics, it says motion by Council Member Gaston, seconded by Council Member Chichester to appoint Council Member Curitan as Chair. I believe that should say Vice Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee at that point in the minutes, and I'd like to make that amendment.
Correct. Good catch. Any other corrections?
So that was a motion to amend the
Mhm.
minutes.
Yes. Okay. Do we have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I second.
We have a motion on the floor from Ms. Clear and a second from Ms. Gaston to amend the minutes from January 3rd, 2026. Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Ms. Clear, is there any communications?
Madam
Madam-
President,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for January 3rd as amended.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Zorb and a second from Ms. Clear to accept the minutes, and that was just from January 3rd, correct? As
It is
amended?
because they were
Yep.
amended, and so I figure we do them separate.
Okay. Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'd like to make a motion, we accept the minutes from the January 5th council meeting.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I would like to second.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Zorb and a second from Ms. Gaston to accept the minutes from January 5th, 2026. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Ms. Clear, do you have any communications?
I do have some communications this evening. So within the packets, there's a hard copy of the council directory for council and the ad hoc and council committee, just for you guys to have a paper copy. I'm also working on fixing the mailboxes. Right now, they're kind of organized. I just need to add labels. And I have the file cabinet and folders set up and ready to go for this year. I was also asked to relay a message to council after our meetings, if we could move the chairs from the blue square, because the seniors use it the day after us sometimes. I can handle it like during meetings that I attend, but if I'm unable to attend like committee meetings or whatever, if someone could help move those chairs, that would be great.
Of course.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitin?
Ms. Clear, who did that request come from?
I want to say it came from Ben Torrey, I think. I can check my email and find out if you'd like to.
Is it because they meet as early in the morning as they do, or is it as a result of our new council seating format? Or is it just because they just need help?
They just need some help because they're having to use other staff members to help move the chairs for the seniors.
And what's the frequency after every meeting? They're asking anyone who's here just to stack the chairs up for the senior volleyball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I also updated the council sections in the document center. Everything's in a folder. It's been organized by year, like how it's been. But I can also go in and get the committees organized by agendas and minutes as well within those years. I just did not get time this weekend to accomplish that yet, but I'm still working on that. I also provided you all with a hard copy of the council rules to review before I post and distribute those copies, just that we know for 100% that's what you guys agreed on during that meeting. And if I need to change or add anything, just let me know. And then I was also thinking about, like, you guys need to send me a bunch of documents every week. I need to send you guys stuff. And I think one way that people have done that in other situations is through a SharePoint, through the cloud, or through Outlook and OneDrive. So there's a point where you can just upload documents to that. So if council would like, I can get something like that set up so that you guys can all see each other's documents. And then you won't have to email me them every week. You can just drop them there, and then I can grab them and upload them to like the city website, file them where they need to get filed, and it would help kind of make that a little bit more efficient than having to send out emails with large attachments. So if you guys are interested in that at all, I can get that set up.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
I appreciate the efficiency part of that. There is a point, though, and I noticed that in email distributions, when an email is sent to the council email group, when different people are in the seats, the distribution list automatically updates. So it could have been an email sent to the council distribution group in 2016 with an entirely different group of people, but when you look at who it was sent to, it looks like the people today.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, when a council member would send like a link to a shared file, when that council member is no longer here, that shared file, you don't have access to it anymore. So I think where I'm going with this is I think if we could maybe talk through this a little bit further, maybe in rules, and maybe find the right solution, because I'm not so sure that that shared file is the right solution for a long-term solution.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
if you are okay with assigning that task to Rules and Public Policy, I'd be happy to add that to the agenda.
That sounds fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and that is all the communication I have this evening.
Excellent. Does anyone in the audience have any public comments they would like to make? Is anyone signed in?
There is no one signed in to speak for the first spot where people can speak this evening.
Okay. We're to the guest speaker part of the evening. We have two guests that is going to be speaking tonight. Ms. Abrams, would you like to go first? I'm sorry. Okay. I invite the law enforcement to come up.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry about the confusion. We are used to sending Mr. Graver an email along with Ben Torrey, so apologies to our current president. So it did not get sent to you, so apologize. So the mayor will swear in. These folks have come to us. Miss Sarissa is Lewis. She has been with us since November 3rd. She actually didn't start the road until the 16th of December. We got her a little early. She wasn't 21 yet, and state rules state you cannot carry a firearm until she's 21. So she was doing a lot of administrative stuff and doing ride-alongs and just kind of getting to be a part of the team until she hit 21. She hit 21. She has hit the streets. She has been with Officer Jackson primarily as her FTO, but since Officer Jackson is promoting to sergeant, she has now transitioned over to Officer Johnson on A squad. So she's been 3 days with Officer Johnson, I think, this past weekend. So we're happy to have her. From all intents and purposes, I think this is kind of exciting. All the records that I have looked through and have found, I believe, I could be wrong, but everything that I have researched, I believe she is the first African-American female officer we've had in our city. So I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. And then next is Carlos Perdue. He comes to us. He had previously worked at Franklin Police Department, Hamilton County Dog Warden, and he is currently serving in the Army as well, National Guard. He's been with us about a month. He's on first shift. He's actually transitioning to Officer Corcoran for FTO because he was with TJ, but TJ now has the responsibility of Miss Lewis. So I will let the mayor swear both of them in.
Good evening, everyone. I've had the pleasure already to swear these two officers in. But tonight, it's nice to hear we have our first African-American female, and maybe we can get a K-9 unit again. I'll do it individually. Because this is special, you've invited your families out, and I want to tell you, welcome again. We appreciate you being here, part of our family, and I know your fellow officers are happy to have you. So I won't waste any more time. Who wants to go first? So if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Carlos Perdue,
I, Carlos Perdue,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America,
and the laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill,
to which I am appointed,
to which I am appointed,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
will discharge the duties of police officer.
discharge the duties of police officer.
Congratulations. would raise your right hand and repeat after me. Happy birthday. I need to tell you that. I, Sarissa Lewis,
I, Sarissa Lewis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America,
and the laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the United States of Ohio, of America,
everywhere, right? And laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill,
and the laws and ordinance of the City of North College Hill,
to which I am appointed,
to which I am appointed,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my
will
ability,
discharge the duties of police officer.
will discharge the duties of police officer.
Congratulations.
If you want to say something, we'll let you say something if you want to. You don't have to.
I just want to thank the city for the opportunity to get the chance to serve with you guys and alongside my brothers and sisters in blue.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the chief and Emily for this opportunity to start my career. And I'm really excited to get started with my coworkers. They seem like really nice people. And thank you for the mayor and the council for having me.
Thank you.
Good job. She's breaking the mold. She's been very quiet and she spoke. So, TJ, mark that in her FTO book. She spoke publicly. All right, you guys are good. Now we'll do our promotional ceremony. So, when I was appointed, and then looking at our organization, I realized, and even being as a lieutenant, we had a vacuum per se in leadership. A lot of times we would have shifts where there's not leadership here, especially at our most critical times when we're the busiest. So one of the things I wanted to do is kind of do a restructure. Part of the restructure of our agency is to have some sergeants. They are going to be from 3P to 3A. That is our most busiest time. So when it's the most critical to have supervision, we will have supervision. We did 2 rounds of testing. We did an oral interview panel where I brought in Ms. Dukestein sat on it, and then we brought a chief from Sharonville and a sergeant from Springdale came over and sat with us, and then we did a written test, and these 2 gentlemen scored as the top 2 test takers. So we just went straight from the score. So Sergeant Jackson, he has been with us since the 29-25 of 21, so just short of 4 years. Came from Hamilton, and I forget the other agency, but it's up north. Doesn't matter because you've done good here. Sergeant Wiley has been with us since 4/16 of 18. He was our NRO, so we are going to have to transition somebody into that. Hopefully we have a taker. If not, we'll figure it out. So, but he's done well in that job. He's excelled. Nick has taken on a lot. He wanted to be an FTO. He became an FTO. He has been one of a really strong FTO for us. He understands this. He's going to be our FTO coordinator. Nick so he'll take that responsibility. Zach will have a responsibility of the NRO will report to him directly and kind of oversee that program since he started it. And then basically, obviously, everyday road supervision for them. I'm happy for both of them. They are both good, strong candidates. They have the respect of our guys. And I think they've done well in our community and respect of our community as well. So with that, I will turn it over to the mayor. And then whoever is going to pin your collar brass and your badge on you, you can have them come up as well.
Nice. Who's going first? So pretty. The wife, co-worker. Who's going first? All right, well, congratulations. I heard it was good things about both of you. Well, let's just start here. Good things about you. We're happy to have you. We haven't had sergeants in our department, so this is wonderful for North College Hill. We look forward to the leadership. I know your fellow officers do as well. Congratulations. You got a lot on your shoulders now. Not that you can't handle it. I know they'll miss you in your previous position. I heard you liked that a lot. So maybe you can help out a little bit.
Thank you.
So, let me sign it. You will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Zachary Wiley,
I, Zachary Wiley,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill.
and laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill.
I further swear and or affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant to the best of my ability.
I further swear or affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say something now?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for fitting us in tonight. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank my family for being here tonight, and thank you for the support that you provided me every day. Couldn't do it without you, and I look forward to serving the City of North College Hill in this capacity as a sergeant. Thank you.
My pen disappeared. Ready? Well, did I say something nice? Good. Your chief said a lot of good things about you. And we appreciate your service as well. I know you work hard. I see you all out, but I see you out on the streets. I don't want to sit in the mic, but you probably even harassed one of my daughters. I won't. But thank you for your service, for what you do for the community, and I know your fellow officers look forward to your leadership as well. So if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Nicholas Jackson, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill.
and the laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill.
I further swear or affirm
I further swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant to the best of my ability.
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
I know the drill. First, I like to give honor to God.
Amen.
First
Amen.
I'd like to thank Chief. Thank you for the opportunity. Emily, thank you. To all my partners who came to support me, thank you. For everyone that couldn't be here, thank you as well. Thanks for the family that showed up. Thanks for the family that couldn't show up. It took a village for me to be here. I didn't do this by myself, so I humbly accept this position on behalf of my family and everyone that gave me a sacrifice and put the blood, sweat, and tears into making this product you see before you today. And I'm further honored to furthermore serve the citizens of North College Hill, and I won't disappoint you. Thank you.
That is it for us.
Thank you. Oh, no problem. Ms. Abrams?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. You know, it's going to be hard to follow that, right? I will say I'm going to thank these officers for their service. Obviously,
Ms. Abrams, I'm just saying, you might want to wait a few
Oh.
seconds so we can hear you.
Okay.
Definitely.
Look at this.
This place is clearing out.
Oh, plenty of parking now.
You're good.
as I was saying, last night I was in Whitewater Township, and they had a Lifesaver Award. So the Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies actually saved a life with an AED. Someone literally died in Kroger. And so the medics got there and whatnot. And so when I showed up, it was kind of fun to be back-to-back first responder. I love that. As most of you probably know, I was a Cincinnati police officer in my younger days. So, all right, thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time here to give a State House update. Basically, the reason for this visit is, quite frankly, I try to do this once a year. Our schedule, this General Assembly with the new speaker, is rigorous. I am typically in Columbus Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I miss most meetings, actually all meetings, in my district, unless we're off. And so the month of January, we're off. And I use air quotes because we're really never off. But anyway, we're working in district. This General Assembly, I serve on the following committees. I serve on Finance, which I've been on for the last 5 years. I chair Public Safety due to my background, Labor and Commerce, and Local Government. So I believe all those committees, the Speaker typically puts us where he believes we will be the strongest, which is always good. A quick public safety update. One of the bills that did not go through my committee, it went through another committee, but it's my bill, House Bill 88. It's increasing the penalties for drug traffickers, specifically the traffickers of fentanyl. Sadly, 12 Ohioans will die today from fentanyl poisoning, and the equivalent of a 737 airliner crashing, so about 200 people in America will die today from fentanyl poisoning. It affects all of us, whether it has or not. It will touch you in some way, sadly. The bill also includes age-appropriate education, which I think is pretty important, from kindergarten all the way to grad school. And the school boards are going to decide, and the college boards are going to decide how to best communicate with each student at each grade level. Again, the bill's in the Senate. It was voted out of the House overwhelmingly. We also had House Bill 247 in my committee, one bill that I'll feature called Avery's Law. Avery was a 12-year-old girl who was over at her friend's house for a play date and got mauled unprovoked by the dog. And if you go back and look up my committee and watch Avery give testimony in front of the Ohio House Public Safety Committee, one, there wasn't a dry eye in the house, and two, she was so strong and brave, had multiple surgeries, is disfigured, and she was such a strong young woman. So what we did, it wasn't just Avery. There was down here in Hamilton County, you read a couple of folks that were mauled by dogs unprovoked. We have a problem statewide, and we needed to completely rewrite basically the dog law. So what we did is basically, and there's a whole process in court, and I'm going to repeat again that the dog has to be unprovoked, and we basically have established a process. So once the police show up, the dog warden shows up, there's a process. And basically, you show up in front of the judge. They decide if your dog is a nuisance, dangerous, or vicious. It is not per breed. It's just the actual action of the dog. If the dog kills someone or mauls you, serious injury, that owner is going to face charges, period. Property taxes, I'm sure that your constituents here, which are my constituents, as I knocked doors in my last election in 2024, all I heard was, you need to lower our tax burden. And so the state of Ohio, we have about 30 plus bills just in the Ohio House dealing with property tax. Some are good, some are bad. But at the end of the day, we passed a whole package of bills before we went on Thanksgiving and Christmas break. The governor had a tax working group that he set up. The Speaker and the President of the Senate had a joint committee, so House and Senate members. And pretty much what boils down to is the reforms that we've passed so far, because we're still working on them, $3 billion in tax relief statewide for property taxpayers. One bill that you've probably heard of is House Bill 186. It went through about 10 rounds of changes in committee. I do not serve on that committee, but do you remember back in 2023 when our property values were reevaluated here in this county and they spiked about 28%? House Bill 186 is going to prevent that spike, so you're not going to see the drastic spike. We're going to allow inflation, which we believe is fair. So there's that. And that bill alone is going to save Ohioans $1.7 billion over the next 3 years. So again, you're not going to see that on your bill right now. You're going to see it in the second half, the next bill that comes in June or July. We're lowering taxes by, again, flattening your personal income tax to 2.75%. And then I'll talk about two quick bills from last General Assembly. One, distracted driving was passed actually in 2023. That was my bill. Much to my kids, they were in high school at the time, much to their dismay, like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, put your phone down and drive the car. It's a tremendous responsibility, as we all know. And I'm happy to report that just 2 years in, we're 20% less fatal crashes in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
That's something huge. The police officers never want to show up and do a death notification. Sadly, we've all had to do them, and it's the most horrific and heart-wrenching door knock that you'll ever make. So 20% less death on the roadway, it's a big deal. And then last General Assembly, one of my bills defined the offense of grooming. So a pattern of behavior with a minor. So an adult, whether you're sending text messages, pictures, emails, videos, whatever, a pattern of inappropriate behavior. So, I'm sure you've seen on the news recently, this law has actually been used here in Hamilton County, which is good. We're protecting our children. Again, I'm happy to be here, and I thank you for allowing me a few minutes of your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Madam President.
Ms. Curitan?
Yes, clap. We can most certainly clap for that amazing presentation and overview. It's such an honor to have you here at our council meeting. I thank you for also giving us an overview of what you've been working on for us in North College Hill. And it's just not impacting us here in North College Hill, but for every neighborhood that you represent. We certainly appreciate the hard work. One of the big ones was Avery's Law. That stood out to me. As our children, my husband and I's children, we are considering getting a dog. And one of the key metrics of that is making sure that we have a dog that is able to grow with our children, that is family friendly. And if their friends ever come over to our home, we want them to also feel safe. So thank you so much for driving every initiative for all of us, especially us here in North College Hill.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Madam President.
It was very nice, and it was hearing everything in your overview. Like Ms. Curitan said, it was quite impactful. Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Yes. All right. Yes. Madam Abrams, okay. So you've been here, and you've been our representative since, is it 2019 or 2020?
2019 October, I was appointed to this position that I ran in 2020, 22, 24, and now again. This is my final term in 2026.
Okay. So since you've been our representative, now we have something down here called the local government fund and the LGRAF. It's the local government. I'm forgetting the last two in that initial, and that local government fund, not necessarily through your action, but through the actions of the State House, that that distribution to us has been down 17%. And it gets us to where we're arguing amongst ourselves about how to properly split this smaller pie. I'd like to know what do we need to do to come to you in order to, what do we need to do to get our funding restored, to get back the money that we pay out that we send to y'all, and to properly take care of our city and fulfill the needs that we need to have filled.
Well, there's good news for you right here. I've already been working on your behalf. You may or may not know it, but I served on Harrison City Council prior to this position, and I served on the board of the Hamilton County Municipal League, so I am very familiar of the couple governors ago. I don't mention his name when he cut the local government fund. So I'm with you 100% on that. As a matter of fact, each General Assembly, this General Assembly and last General Assembly, when I was in the Finance Committee, I introduced the amendment to the budget not once, not twice, even when my hand was slapped, but 3 times to increase the local government fund to 2.5%. So again, I'm only one person out of 99. If my colleagues won't join me on it, then I'm just going to keep fighting for that. Also, please take advantage of any grants. I know the chief already left, but your police and fire chiefs should be scouring the Department of Public Safety website and the Attorney General website for any grants that they can find. And again, those agencies are happy to help them. Again, there's money available to be had in different ways, but I'm with you with the local government fund, 100% with that.
Okay. And now, based on that, that's more of a complaint than a question. Now,
I'm with you. I agree with you.
Because when it comes to the public safety grants, though most of those, the deadline was, if not like last week, like in the next couple weeks. We just elected a new essentially a 70% new council at the beginning of January. And now, would it be possible too where some of those grant deadlines could match up with the fiscal year, so we're able to apply for them, and we have the knowledge and we're able to spread that knowledge in time.
The grant applications are like all throughout the year, so there's rolling deadlines depending on what you're asking for.
Okay.
So
About
keep looking for them. I mean, they're out there, like I said.
Okay.
So.
Madam President.
Ms. Dukestein.
Hello. So our city, North College Hill, we rely on property tax. I know that cities sometimes don't. Are there any revisions that help relieve us for when as the city functions and operates off of the deficit that the property tax being lowered is going to provide us?
So the property tax, yes, the residents will get their bills lowered, but you have to understand that was from the spike back in 23 that, quite frankly, should have never happened. I mean, homes are selling for way more than they're worth. We could have never, ever expected this to happen in the State House as far as budgeting and whatnot. And so when that spike happened, it really doesn't affect local government as much as it does the school districts. So I would think that you're still getting inflation should be okay, but you can run your numbers and email me in or call me and let me know if there's anything different. But I will say my voice at the State House is, look, our local government, the money that you get from, again, personal income tax and the property tax mostly goes to your public safety, which you should. I mean, because without public safety, nothing else matters, quite frankly. And when people call 911 in this city, I mean, they expect them to be there in under 5 minutes, especially when you're having something like a heart attack or you're dead. It matters. Minutes matter. So, yes, the short answer is yes, that will there be more relief coming? Probably, but we will absolutely keep in mind our local governments. And I will say one more thing, if I may. The folks that are trying to circulate the petition to get the elimination of property tax on the ballot, if you're not terrified of that movement, you should be.
Absolutely.
As a state representative, I'm here to tell you that if that gets on the ballot and passes, we are going to have to raise the sales tax and now hear me when I say this because it's not pleasant, to 18 to 20%, the highest in the nation. Now, no other state in the nation doesn't pay property tax. To clear up that rumor that people are saying other states do it, no, they don't. And at the end of the day, do we need to lower the burden? Yes, but do we still need to have major responsibilities here? Police, fire, we have to. Schools, I mean, these are the basics of a civilized society. So if we have to do that, what's going to happen to our state, I don't even want to think about, because all of us that live on the border of another state, guess where I'm shopping? Not to sound rude, but like, again, Kentucky and Indiana are close. The folks that live on West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan border, so what's that going to do to our state? It's going to be, again, horrific and terrifying. So I will be working against that if they get the signatures.
I have a follow-up. So what direction do you think the relief is going to come from, if you are able to talk about that? And with the housing spike, with the increase of the home values, do you not believe that that's not our new norm?
I just read an article today that said it was put out, where did I read so much news? I have no idea where. It was from Ohio, but there were some realtors talking about the home prices are going to kind of level out, not necessarily lower, but level out. And then with the interest rates coming down, it's going to open up, I guess, more of a buyer's market, because it is absolutely a seller's market right now. I have friends who just bought homes, and they're like, why aren't you downsizing? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? One, no. And two, well, first of all, I don't want to have to go through. I've been in our home 25 years. It's a lot of stuff.
Who wants to move?
Anyway, but at the end of the day, they said that it's pretty much going to kind of level out, and with the interest rates coming down, it'll be more of a buyer's market than a seller's market. So, and as far as the question to the relief, there's so many bills out there. I don't serve on the Ways and Means Committee. I couldn't even begin to guess what is going to move once we go back next month in February.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Stegman?
Thanks for coming to this meeting.
You're welcome.
I'm also hearing that there is a lot of money coming in from tariffs, and I heard that individuals were supposed to get $2,000, and somebody said that they were going to give us $5,000, but then it went down to $2,000. And I also heard there's a lot of tax revenue coming in for the marijuana sales now. Are you familiar, or who would I go to find out where that money is going?
That's a great question. Let me address the federal level first. And of course, I don't serve in the U.S. Congress, but what I've followed just on a personal basis, I believe the $2,000 is based on what you make. And I'm not going to quote it because I'm probably going to quote it wrong. And then the $1,000 is another category of funds. I want to say, I'm just totally guessing here, so I'm putting on the record, guess. I don't know, because I don't know. But I want to say I read $2,000 would be if you made, I want to say under 200,000 together, and then I think 1,000 is if you made over. I could be totally wrong. Maybe they lowered those numbers, but essentially, pretty much everybody that I know is going to get that. So. Anyway, and then the second question is marijuana. Do you all have a dispensary here in town?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, that doesn't count anyway. So, all right. So how this works is the marijuana money. So we had, and it's confusing because there was the issue 2 that went through that was not written by the General Assembly. It was written, I don't know who wrote it, but it wasn't written by lawmakers. And so what we just did in Senate Bill 56 is we didn't change the legality of marijuana. It's still legal, but what we needed to tighten up were things that came from our public safety, our police. And they said, look, if you can't drink a beer and drive a car, why are you smoking a joint and driving a car? If you can't be a passenger and drink a beer, then why are you smoking a joint and being a passenger? Again, fair questions. The kids should not be able to go in and literally buy it. Fair. It should not be packaged like Skittles, right? These are all things that everybody, I think, on the whole planet can agree with. Like, the kids should not be like, I'm going to go buy a pack of Skittles when it's really gummies, and then now you have an overdose or something happens with the kid. That's crazy. So all of that. And then we actually released the money because in issue 2, even though they said the local governments that host the marijuana dispensary get a percentage of the money, they didn't have a mechanism to release the money. Because again, it wasn't written by lawmakers. It was probably written by, well, it was written by the marijuana industry. And they don't care about that, but we do as lawmakers. So we rewrote, Senate Bill 56 had that mechanism in there. So to answer your question, North College Hill doesn't have a dispensary, so they're not benefiting directly from the marijuana money in Senate Bill 56. But if you were to attract one, if you choose to do that, then that money would flow to your town. So, and
Madam
there's pros
President.
and cons, of course. It's up to
Ms.
council.
Ellison.
So, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any update on school funding? As I understand, I know our district hit hard with
Yes.
funding.
Yes.
Having to restructure, even, not just our district, but Mount Healthy, but the whole state of Ohio. Do you have any updates? Is there any type of relief coming to restore funds for our children? There are programs, after-school programs, that are no longer available that our kids were able to go to. Summer school activities, not just for remedial classes, but for STEM programs and things that I know my child had available, but I know it's cut now.
Well, in the whole, I'll take the question in 2 parts. 1, how we fund schools, because I think it's important to talk about. And then 2, as far as, well, I'll start with the property tax relief. Again, people want us to lower their property tax relief. So, of course, we look at all ways and every single way. And it takes everybody to help do this. I mean, you know this, being here and receiving tax dollars, like you all are, you have to be good stewards of that money. This tax money in the state budget, in your budget, it's not our money. It's the people's money, and we have to remember that because, again, we're all here, put here, to do a job. So to back up, years ago, DeRolf, they said we didn't fund schools constitutionally. Okay, fine. So Speaker Bob Cupp was the Speaker of the House back in 2020. And he into 2021, and he was a Ohio Supreme Court justice. I'm giving you this history because it's important to know, I believe, in the whole school funding discussion. So Bob Cupp was an Ohio Supreme Court justice, came to the Ohio Senate, and then came to the Ohio House. And it was his mission alone to fairly fund public schools in the state of Ohio. And we did that. Back in 2021, it's called the Fair School Funding Formula. And as you know, the school districts do a 5-year forecast. We have to do a 2-year budget per the Constitution. So as you can imagine, a 5-year forecast, a 2-year actual budget, it's hard to match up, like, what are we doing? So in the Fair School Funding Formula, it takes a typical child. We're not talking about, the special needs children. That's a whole different line item of budget, quite frankly, and it should be. But typical child, and it gives a line item. So let's say a baseline of what you're receiving. Each school district's different. Transportation and your aids and everything that you've got in your school. And Speaker Cupp went around the state. It took him 8 years to get this done. He went around and touched every single portion of the state. Anybody who touched educating a child, and he talked to them. And so this formula was born with the input of everyone, superintendents, teachers, the teachers' unions, everybody who actually educates children. Now, is the formula perfect? Not at all. Does it need updates every General Assembly? Yes, it does. Do I believe the state should be giving more money per pupil? I do. And I'm actually working on introducing a bill to do just that. So I hear you with what the schools are across my whole district. It's not just North College Hill, it's Northwest, it's Southwest Local. Everyone is taking a look at their budget and figuring out what we can do to make cuts, but then not cut programs. I mean, I do hate to hear that because I don't believe it's right. So, Does that answer your question?
You're working on it.
Okay. You could ask me another one. I'm
No,
happy
I'm
to.
just
okay.
saying that's what I came up at, you know.
But we are, and it's such a, and I go to Mount Healthy just quickly to touch on them, and I was very much involved initially when they were in fiscal distress with the state and everything else, and the state loaned them $10 million to make payroll, and it is a loan, but at the end of the day, per the state auditor, there was some mismanaging of funds there. So we won't go into detail of what's happening there. That's a whole nother story. But again, got to be good stewards of that money. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But we are working on it. I
That's
feel
what
like
I
we're
got.
always working on it. I never thought I'd lose sleep or grow gray hairs over the things I have, but here we are. So.
Thank you, Ms. Abrams.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Anything
thank
else?
you very much.
Okay.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
being here.
You're welcome.
So before we move on to council committees, I do want to put out a gentle reminder to everyone, especially with the big winter. On January 3rd, we went over our rules of council, and we spent 4 hours going over all the rules and making sure everybody understood them and everything was good. And one thing is that we all kind of agreed on the dress code. And that means that when we are coming to council, we are trying to dress the part, because that's what we're here, is to serve the city. So I kindly ask if anybody is, wearing any outer garments or hats or anything, if they would remove them at this time. Mr. Davies, if you wouldn't mind removing your hat. Thank you. Okay, now let's move on to council committees. City Community Development and Recreation.
Thank you, Madam President. So we met last week, January 12th at 7 o'clock, and we went over committee purpose and procedures, talked about collaborating with the Planning Commission and community groups. We discussed Pies Park updates. Currently, the gate is not kept locked. It's open, so people can come and go. Let's see, what else did we talk about? We also discussed the UC Health Outdoor Gym in Old Business and Veterans Park grant, that update. And we talked about ending the current ad hoc committee with just to have some legal parameters and things put around it, just to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck when it comes to that committee. And that is it. I encourage anyone, any citizen or anyone here to join us next February 9th at 7 p.m. And that's when we're going to have our next meeting. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email me at bgaston@northcollegehill.org. And I will read those questions out loud and answer them to the best of my ability. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston. Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Madam President. So we had our first meeting in January of the new year, and some of the things we talked about is committee member goals and suggestions and ideas for 2026. Then we had a financial report from the Winter Wonderland event. We also talked about going out for a bidding process for the waste and recycling for the residents, because our Rumpke contract it either has expired or it's about to expire.
We're living in an extension right now.
So it has expired and we're living in an extension right now. All right, and then we reviewed the monthly finance reports and got a verbal update on the cleanup ordinance and the expectations there. And that is all I have. Thank you.
When will you meet next time?
Oh, I forget. Did you already tell me?
It's February 9th,
February 9th at
7:30.
at 7:30. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Zorp. Rules and Public Policy.
Thank you, Madam President. We met on Monday, January 12th at 6 o'clock. All members were present, and we worked through some housekeeping questions in terms of committee responsibilities. working through agenda templates, not only for rules, but potentially for other committees as well. That way we can set expectations in terms of what would be discussed at each meeting. And we also talked a little bit about the time allocation. And just for context, in order of time when the committee meetings take place, rules is first and then the others are after. So a lot of this came out first, but it really touched on multiple committees. That we discussed the 30-minute time frame for meetings is potentially not sufficient to get through all of the business that the committees need to work through. So we had some discussion about that. We did not decide to make any permanent changes at that point in time. We talked about staff potentially attending some committee meetings, and I'm going to just hit the highlights because this will be submitted. The minutes will be submitted in writing to the clerk once they're approved in our next meeting. We talked about the Iron Mountain agreement with the city files. They're currently off-site. They were off-site due to the scanning project. The bulk of, I believe this initial scanning project is complete, but the files are still there. We are currently paying a monthly maintenance fee for them to physically house the city records. As of right now, that contract will run through the month of May. And the current city budget does not account for renewing that contract. So unless council would decide to renew that, those files would come back here. We were running out of time at that point, so we decided to put a couple of new business items in the parking lot for a future meeting, junk car legislation, and then code enforcement, ingress, egress, basically how many code enforcement calls are we getting versus how many are being resolved. So our next meeting will be on Monday, February 9th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Clear.
Madam President.
Ms. Dukestein.
Just a follow-up to Ms. Clear's statement about Iron Mountain. So she did say that we're good through May, which is true. If you all are going to continue to pay for the files off-site, I would suggest that we go with another vendor that's a little less expensive. And it is quite possible that we could get rid of some of those files because they're now digitized. So just wanted to add that both in because I wanted to be thinking about all of it at the same time.
Ms. Dukestein, as a follow-up to your follow-up, is there any state legislations or state rules about how long you have to keep documents?
There are some retention laws. I can send that out to you all if you'd like.
Public Safety, Ms. Curitin.
Thank you, Madam President. We met on Monday, January 12th, our first meeting at 6:30. I am the chair. Mashallah and Annalise Clear were present. Mr. Davis was not able to make it, and that's okay. We talked about our foundation of public safety, that it is built on partnership, accountability, and a shared commitment for North College Hill. We talked about what we want our purpose to be for public safety as the committee, the oversight, the collaborations with our police department, our fire department, making it more of a community focused on safety, more so not just being worried about my four and no more, but worrying also about that neighbor and oftentimes being able, if you see something, say something, and those efforts that are effectively impacting all of our city departments. We talked about our procedures and our structures and our expectations for our public safety committee. We talked about any updates. We are actually requested for our chiefs to be present as much as possible at the committee meeting so that we can build a stronger collaboration and a foundation as we move forward. New day, new dawn, new city of North College Hill. And then we talked about the engagement that we're looking for in our community and how that community policing will look forward, or how it's going to look in the future for our city. And our next meeting is going to be Monday, February 9th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Curitin. Do we have any ad hoc reports?
Madam President.
Ms. Clear.
I am the council representative to the CIC, which for those of you who are acronym challenged like I am at times, that is the Community Improvement Corporation here in North College Hill. They met last Thursday on the 15th, and we had quite a full agenda. Basically, the subcommittees reported in. They hadn't met as a whole since, I believe, bear with me one moment, August. But their subcommittees had been meeting in the interim. So this was their first meeting with everybody there in quite some time. So I was there, Ms. Dukes-Dean was there. So the Property and Investments Committee, they had looked at the properties that are currently in holding by the CIC. They're going to be looking at potentially disposition of some of those properties. Disposing is not the right word. I meant disposition. We're going to throw them out. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, we also talked about the Protocol and Policies Subcommittee have been working on bylaws, updating the bylaws, and then the third committee, technology group, talked about the Kroger Rewards program for fundraising for the CIC, a potential avenue, and also setting up their Microsoft environment. They are a separate organization, so their Microsoft environment would be separate from the city's, but it would be a similar platform, just it's going to be managed through their organization. Which would allow them not only for record keeping, which is something we're looking at here, but also an audit trail and a communication tool, particularly between meetings, since they're all volunteers coming from different areas, to support the CIC. They also made some committee assignment changes, and I am going to be on the technology group, so I'll be helping with that. They talked about focus for 2026. Again, looking at, I didn't have this in my notes, but I remember we talked about, that's when they mentioned, here it is, property disposition, audit readiness, and bylaws. Also, potentially, we briefly touched about business district improvements. We talked about capacity building grants. Ms. Dukes-Dean brought up economic development opportunities through Hamilton County. We also talked about benchmarking Springfield Township, and they mentioned that the year-end financial reports were coming soon. And other than some fund development things and some accounting things that we mentioned, we're going to try to meet consistently every month. So the next month's meeting will be on the 19th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Claire. Any other ad hoc reports?
Madam Chair. I'm sorry, Madam President.
Ms. Dukes-Dean?
Ms. Salad, is this the school, are you still the school representative? Oh, Ms. Gaston.
Yes.
Did you go to the last meeting?
I did not. I'm going to the one tomorrow.
Okay, I have a small update. If you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Okay. I know that they talked a lot about putting a levy on the ballot for the coming year for the school district. So I think as a city, we need to leverage the impact. I want to encourage our district to get as many supportive dollars as possible. But we are asking our citizens to support a levy. So just wanted to share that.
Did they mention mill or?
No, I don't think they're at that space. And I do know that per the state, there is a limit to what they can ask for. And so they are restricted in that space. Unless you guys know some private donors.
Thank you, Ms. Dukes-Dean. Moving on to administrative reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. I really don't have much. I want to thank Ms. Abrams for coming out and giving a very detailed and lengthy report to us. It was all informative. Also, would like to congratulate our 2 new police officers and our 2 new sergeants. That is huge for us to have that type of leadership within our police department, which has had some challenges like most do. And I hope everyone enjoyed, I'll end with this, yesterday was Dr. Martin Luther King Day. There was lots of activities going on within our city, and just remembering what he stood for with faith, love, and justice. And I just want to end with two quotes that it was strange because I was reading yesterday and these quotes just kept coming up. The first one would be the peace you wish to see in the world. You know how sometimes it's really hard to be at peace with things and to find that particular peace. But if we want to exhibit that love, you have to find peace within yourself first. And no work is insignificant. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity. And I think we all come here with an extraordinary amount of dignity. You know, we have to do and deal with a lot, and not just here, but personally. And we're all here to serve a purpose, and that is our community. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Dukestein.
I would like to thank Ms. Abrams for coming out. I remember when I was council member, you also came out, so thank you. I'd like to congratulate the officers, the 2 new officers. I've personally met both of them, had the opportunity to see them in the field. Both of them are doing great, and very excited about the different levels of diversity that is mapping out in our police agency. And then very, very happy and encouraged by the promotional step of sergeant between officer and lieutenant. It gives our officers something to look forward to. It gives us another level of accountability throughout our agency so that more inexperienced officers have someone to ask questions of and to look to for expertise. I think it's an excellent add, and it also helps with our staffing and scheduling. So I told you all that I would get working on the tax table. That's what I'm going to call it. I want to create a booth. It'll be up by the end of the month, as we will have a date to file tax. I think it's the 30th or the 29th. I can't remember what day we can actually begin filing taxes, but it'll be set up and established and advertised on the website by then. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. And I would like to also talk about MLK Day. I'm happy that Mayor brought it up. I did some marching in the morning, and it was very, very cold. And I especially want to talk about it this year because there's so much swirling around Martin Luther King in both positive and negative space. And I feel like we all have imperfections, but the work was still honorable, and I'd just like to focus on that. And so with that, I will also share a quote, and this is one of my favorites. It is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of convenience or comfort, but where he stands at the time of challenge and controversy." That is all. Thank you.
Ms. Dukestein, I do have a question for you, if you don't mind. Sure. In regards to our name plaques, I was wondering if you had an update on that.
I did. And Jillian, I have a vendor for you. And also I talked to Mr. Graver. He said that Mr. Hedger just ordered them from Amazon. But I was actually looking for the exact plaques that we have on Amazon because I have not seen them, which was my delay. But I wanted us to be uniform. So it's either going to look like trying to find that exact link to the ones that we have or ordering everyone new ones so that they can be uniform. So just give me a little bit. I'm just looking at that. Or if you just want to look too, that would be great. You look on Amazon and then I'll show you the link. But the link that I have for they would not be the same. So I was just trying to scout through when I have time. So we can do it together if you like.
All right.
Madam President.
And if you don't mind, if you could include me in on that so I could keep abreast of this because, like I said, we've been kind of working with what we got going on here for a bit, and we were just wondering, what the update was on that. So, Ms. Clear?
Yes, you mentioned, I think in my former life, I had to order nameplates a couple times. So in the order history, I don't know if it was after we made the switch to the business account, but in the order history, there's potentially that link where we purchased them before the exact item. So it should be in the order history somewhere. My brain is tickly, but that's what I remember.
It's probably, Madam President,
Ms. Nick.
it's probably before my time, but I will include Ben on the email so that he can look in our order history, because I don't even have access to the Amazon. Oh, Ms. Toll.
Madam President.
Ms. Curitan.
I have a couple of quick questions for you, Ms. Dukestein. Thank you for the verbal overview. I am wondering if we can begin maybe in February receiving monthly updates versus you just giving us the information orally. It would allow us to efficiently serve our citizens, our constituents, along with being prepared with appropriate questions. We didn't know exactly what you were going to speak on today, and so it would just help us. And I found some prior North College Hill City Administrative reports on our city's website. You are welcome to use this as a template or create your own, but I would love to hear your feedback on your ability on a monthly basis to provide counsel, administration if necessary, and even open it up to citizens to get a monthly report from you.
Are you asking that I put something to you in writing to put in the agenda?
Actually, it actually says in two-part. One, I pulled up the job description for the city administrator for North College Hill, and number 5, it states the duties of a city administrator.
I'm aware. I know that I'm supposed to do it monthly,
Okay.
but as when I was on council, and even currently and since I've served, they've always been verbal. So or if you're asking me to quantify that through a written report, I don't have an issue. I'm just clarifying, is that what you're asking?
I believe for us to move together collaboratively in a healthy environment, it would do everyone on this council justice for us to have a monthly report so that we are able to adequately understand what you're working on, what the city is working on from a financial or administrative perspective, and that way we can be better prepared to answer and ask questions to you. We didn't know what you were going to speak on tonight. Had we known, we maybe were able to prepare and adequately get questions together for you. I just think it will do us a better justice to have a monthly report from you.
I understand what you're asking, a monthly report.
Sure.
But are you asking me to put that in writing prior to
I
the
am.
meeting? Okay.
Yes.
So you would like for me to disperse it among you?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if you are able to include such topics that are impacting, like you mentioned, the tax table or the tax desk, that would be very, very helpful. Anything that's going on with our police, our fire, anything with code enforcement, anything that's happening administratively in the city and or financially, that will allow us to better serve the citizens of North College Hill.
Okay. I usually do respond with those things. It's not amiss. There is not a requirement to do it written, but as long as the mayor's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Madam President.
Ms. Nichols.
I wanted to ask a clarifying question because in the past, we're in the future now, but sometimes we have to piggyback to where we were and how it was done just for to get clarity. So in the past, the city administrator would bring their report to the meeting. So I just want to be clear. I think Ms. Dukestein did ask, you are requesting that she presents her report prior to the meeting, like in the same manner like Ms. Clear when she has a deadline of Thursday.
Madam Chair, Madam
Because
President.
I heard you say, in case you guys have questions, so you can address the questions during the meeting. So that's the clarity that I'm looking for. When are you looking for her report?
Ms. Curtin.
Monthly. It will be very helpful to have it prior to the council meetings. If your timing at this moment doesn't permit that, we can adjust and pivot as necessary. But having something in writing that encompasses everything that's going on, and here's the reason why. In my last meeting, I requested that we have our police chief, our fire chief, our code enforcer, and all of the directors or chiefs of this city. You made reference that They are hourly, and that's not possible. So since they float directly up to you, they can offer their reports to you. If we need them, we can ask them to be present. But if you have the reports from every department head of the city, you can then give that to council in writing.
Madam President?
Ms. Clear.
Sorry, my microphone. I think I understand the reference both ways. I used to do a report when I was rec director, but I don't think it has to be a novel. I think just just to clarify, we're not asking you to, at least I don't think, like hours and hours of your time for this, but just like it would just proactively help us. Like we wouldn't have to ask questions about, are the electrical outlets getting worked on Galbraith Road? Because it would already be in your report.
They are complete.
Yeah.
Madam President.
Ms. Zorb.
So, I'd like to say thank you very much for taking the suggestion of the tax table from the Finance Committee. But I heard you say that you're going to advertise it on the website. Is there any chance it can make it into the newsletter?
That too, but
Perfect.
Unfortunately, tax day is April 15th. The newsletter will be coming out in March. And so I don't know even if we'll have a whole month.
Okay.
But I will put it on there.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Nichols.
I do apologize, but I forgot to ask one request during my time. Is it possible, Ms. Clear, that you could send the agenda, not necessarily, I don't know if they don't want the minutes, but the agenda to our department heads as well? In the past, all department heads used to get a copy of the agenda, the meeting, the minutes. And in the same, like Ms. Curitan just said, they're oblivious to what's on the agenda and what's happening. So if you could send that to our police, chief, fire, public works, and finance and recreation, that would be nice, just so they'll, do you think, code enforcement as well? If you could, in the past, I know some things have changed over the years since I was a clerk, and like tons of people would get the agenda, and I'm just finding that they're not getting it. So if I'm having a conversation and they're like, I didn't see it, I don't know. So if that's something you could do.
Madam President?
Ms. Clear.
So is that something I would send out, or is that something I would send to the city administrator to distribute?
It typically comes from the clerk.
Okay, if I could get a contact list, just the emails, so that way I'm not trying to guess or anything like that.
Madam President.
Ms. Dukestein.
Ms. Clear, there is a distribution list in your email if you just type in department heads.
Okay, perfect.
Madam President.
Yes.
I also have another quick question for you, Ms. Dukestein. I think it started around 2024. I think you were on council prior to becoming city administrator, and there were discussions about the speed bumps in the city. And I believe during that discussion, there were times in which the former public works director partnered with, I think, Mount Healthy to borrow, and it's escaping me what that exact tool was called, to put on high traffic areas. A citizen has reached out to inquire on the status update on the findings from that, I'm going to say it was a rope that was stretched across one of the high frequency areas of our city. And if you can give us an update this evening on what has come from that project, and futuristically, if the city has added any additional speed bumps. One key area that was referenced was that at the corner of, I believe it's Sundale and Parrish, I believe that's the intersection, we have a stop sign and a speed bump. I don't know if we need both. I think with Parrish and the number of students that we have in our district that walk along this street, it might be helpful to add it a little bit further back. Now, I don't know all of the cross streets at Parrish, but this is what the neighborhood, the residents in this particular area is asking, if we can get an update on those speed bumps, that project, those findings, and then if we've implemented any additional speed bumps, and then do we need speed bumps by a stop sign?
Madam President, Can I chime in
Sure.
real quick before you? I can vouch for the speed bump at Parrish and Sundale. The snowplows took care of that last winter, so that's no longer there.
Okay, good.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So your question is loaded. The speed bumps the spots where the speed bumps are currently have fulfilled all of the ones that they were going to do within the initial project. What you're talking about with the rope, that is a different piece of technology, and Public Works was working with the police department to place that to kind of monitor the traffic. I do not believe that we've placed it probably since the summer. But I can check to see if we want to place it again. If we're getting a lot of inquiries where there's excessive speed, they'll put it up to monitor to help us understand what the traffic flow is. So that's kind of a tool that we would put out when we're having some concerns to try to figure out why the speed is where it is. So your question about speed bumps being at stop signs, I remember being on council, and there was a kind of a small back and forth about whether they are effective at stop signs. I don't know, but I will tell you, in my opinion, they are not effective. Just my perspective. We had talked about not placing any more speed bumps until we did some traffic studies to decipher where or if we should do more. They are expensive and they do damage the road. And so you have to consider when you're doing that. And then our snow plows take them out when they can't see them. And that is our waste of resources unless we get a different type of speed bump. So all of that, as we draw closer to the spring, we can start looking at that. And that's really where we have our speed starting to pick up through the early spring, all through summer, and then fall. I think it's a good time to start thinking about that right now. And so I'll re-loop with Public Works and the police department to kind of talk about that again. That's my answer.
Madam President.
Real quick, Ms. Dukestein, one, also if, when it comes to that point, you can also to maybe take a look at maybe Galbraith between Simpson and the border of North College Hill and whatever is on the other side, about maybe looking at that for a study to see, because a lot of people have been complaining about speeders through there.
Galbraith, over by the...
Galbraith between Simpson and...
Skyline Acres.
Yeah.
Like Crutchfield.
Yeah.
By the
Is that what
golf
you're talking
course.
Yeah, by
Skyline
the golf
Acres.
course, Galbraith.
So, Madam President,
Ms. Dukestein.
my personal perspective is I would like to see the police be a bit more attentive to our traffic patterns before and with them getting fully staffed, I think that we can accomplish those goals before we start placing speed bumps and have to consider the damage done to the streets. So I think we are turning a curve here to get some more promising results. We've been in several conversations with the police department about, improving the monitoring of our community speed. So,
Madam.
Ms. Claire.
I'm sorry. I was about to just remind you that I would.
Yeah,
If
Ms.
I'm
Claire.
next, I'm okay.
No, you're fine.
So there's two things that are weighing on that came to my mind. I recall, and Mayor, you can help refresh my memory. It was about 2020 or 2021 that JMA, our city engineers, had done a traffic study in the city, and they had divided the city up into regions, and that region was one of them, between Simpson and Pin Oak at the border.
Yep, that was
The other was, I believe, Simpson. The other was the 5-lane street that is Galbraith between Hamilton Avenue and I think Roses. and actually all the way down to the end on that side. And then I want to say Goodman Avenue, but I can't remember. But they did a big study, and they came back with recommendations. Not all of them were permanent, but one of the I need to slow down my words. One of the recommendations was to consider road diets in certain areas or restriping to allow for a different traffic flow. And that leads me to We Thrive, because the grant that they gave us last year we did receive the funding for, and there was also an America Walks grant specifically for pop-up traffic demo. That was a restricted grant, and improving pedestrian safety and walkability. And I think it was right before I was leaving, and I know there was a lot going on right then. But I had provided a list potentially of some materials that I had discussed with Public Works and the We Thrive team, and I believe one of the police officers was on the We Thrive meeting at that point in time, to potentially test a different traffic pattern. I think we were looking at where Burger King is, that strip like between Burger King and Walgreens. But anyway, that didn't really go anywhere because, I was leaving and we weren't sure where the grant money had been booked. And I know now that it was booked in We Thrive, and I know now that council had appropriated those funds officially. And so I think in the last budget and finance meeting that what they had the fund balance chart, that some of those funds had been expended. So I didn't know if that equipment had been purchased, if those items had been purchased. Some of it was bump outs, like on the curbs, putting planters to try to slow traffic in certain areas. Can you let me know? That was two things, the JMA, and then also the equipment or the supplies for the We Thrive project.
Madam President.
Ms. Nichols.
To Ms. Clear's point, I believe the planters were in that Simpson to Pin Oak area. And some of that didn't go over favorable because they were talking about doing the same thing that's on Hamilton at that section, that part of of Galbraith. Mm-hmm. So I do recall that, but just some of the ideas
Right. And that was the idea with sorry, Madam President. That was the idea with the grant. It was just like a temporary stuff that we would just test, get data, and then Hamilton County Public Health was actually willing to help us with follow-up community engagements to ask the residents, how is this working? Is it not working? Because they've done that in other communities where they gave them the same grant funding for similar projects, and they're going back to the citizens now to gather that data to see, was it helpful? Is it more of a hindrance? So that's something that they were waiting for me or waiting for us to say that the stuff had been purchased, and when can we move forward on that?
Madam President.
Ms. Curtin.
So we asked you a lot of questions. They all fall under safety of the public of North College Hill and those who come in our city. I was looking at the calendar and I see that our next public safety meeting is February 9th. Is that too soon, or will you need until March 9th to come back with your findings from our questions this evening?
I think I should be able to come back with most of them. I do have some grant applications that I'm working on that are due February the 11th. So that has taken a good portion of my time, but I'll be diligent in the ones that I'm not able to respond to. I'll put it in an email.
And Madam President, just wanted to get more of an effective date for your communications with council, your report. Do you believe that can also start in February?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, should we expect it prior to our February 2 meeting?
No, I'll bring it to council with me. I'll keep in keeping what has been done.
Okay, so I understand what has historically been done, but what we're asking for you to do so that we can equally prepare for it. Our council meetings are bi-weekly, and in order for us to be prepared to ask you the appropriate questions, it would help us to have the report at least 3, maybe 4 days, if possible, prior to. If there are any additions that you would need to add to that report, that's fine. But having a baseline report will allow us, again, to best serve the citizens. Are you able to give us something in writing prior to the council meeting?
So as I read the charter, I think that the responsibility on my part is to give a report monthly, and we have 2 meetings. So if you guys have questions that you can't send via email, we can always use that other meeting to do so. And so what I don't want you to, well, let me rephrase that. I don't have any issue with it. I just want to make sure that you guys are giving me the opportunity to do the work every day, not just, like I would say on Friday or Thursday of last week, I probably received between all of you 20 different emails, and I was responding back, doing. I had so much to accomplish that morning when I came in, and just the response of council, I literally had to push most of that stuff off this afternoon. I worked over the weekend, and I don't mind putting in that extra time, but when we have deadlines that are of grants and things like that, that I'm trying to satiate, like one of the grants just opened up, literally just opened up. So I was like, had time set on my calendar to do that. So I think if we could just get a balance of when your expectations are of me to produce things, knowing that I also have a workload that does not include you. I want to be able to deposit into the city in a positive way. And as long as you guys are just working together with me to understand that I do have other work, I don't have any issues meeting any of the other expectations.
Madam President.
Ms. Curitin.
So in all respect, let me ask you this question, because I know that I sent you maybe 1 or 2 emails this weekend, and can you just maybe give us, because this question ties into the ability for you to execute the report to us. Part of my question was asking you, if you were not able to do it in February, we can roll it out in March. That's perfectly fine. I want to give you the ample space and opportunity to do so. But you made a comment that stated that you received around 20 emails. Is that because there are vacancies inside of the city of where you are now having to fill in the gaps for a person who doesn't have that role? Is that part of the reason, or is it solely were they solely city administration responsibility emails?
Thank you for asking that question. So it's all of the above. It's vacancies that I help fill in the gap. I've been filling in vacancies since I got here. So when there was no building and code person when I started, the citizens will tell you I delivered notices of violations to doors when they were extreme, when they residents would email you all or email council or email, and they would escalate so far. I would deliver notices of violations. Wherever gaps that we need to fill, if they are emergent situations, I definitely will get on those things. I can't divvy out everything because everyone has a heavy workload. Then there were some things that we had such a time where we were catching up from the vacancy of my role not being filled. There were a lot of things to catch up on. I spent all of 25 just trying to make sure that we got caught up in some things. And every time we peel back one layer of an onion, there's other things that I find that just need to be complete. For example, I was going through digitizing something over at the courthouse and, making sure that we met regulations. We were outside of that regulatory time frame by 105 years. That far exceeds me. But I put a plan in place to make sure that gets caught up in the next 6 to 8 months. So those kinds of things you all don't see, but it is definitely work it has huge legal implications for us. And Mayor will tell you, we are currently working on something to present to you all, but there are so many spaces that way. And then in addition, you are asking for things that are just different than what we have done before. So it's adjusting to kind of a new council group. And so what I can commit to at this time, while I'm taking all of the new things in and regulating all of the responsibilities of this role, is my requirement is to give a report once a month. And then if you have any questions, we can deal with the second month. If we get to a good place and I can produce something different, I will be more than happy to change that rhythm.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Curitin. Let's move on. I did think I saw the finance manager stroll by. Okay.
I think she was on her way out.
On her way out. Okay. So the law director is not here tonight and the finance manager is not here tonight. So we are on to call of members. Ms. Clear, do you want to do roll call or go through?
Ms. Orb.
Thank you. I see Ms. Abrams has left, and that's unfortunate because I just wanted to thank her for coming and also say I'm sorry to see that she's being termed out, and I hope she's looking for another position because I genuinely appreciate her willingness to actually come to the local level and support us, because that's how government should work. And so I appreciate that she's really doing it. I'd also like to congratulate the 4 officers that were here tonight. That's what keeps the city moving. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Gaston.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to say happy birthday to Officer Lewis. Woohoo! I love birthdays. And congratulations to all of the officers that were sworn in tonight. Officer Perdue, Officer Wiley, so on and so forth. But thank you to Ms. Abrams, who came and answered a lot of questions that we had. I really just want to say thank you for that as well. But I do, colleagues, I want to call your attention to one of my growing concerns regarding repeated sense of urgency placed on council to vote and pass legislation committing ARPA funds to the 1500 building without complete, consistent, and verified information. So let me explain. On September 9th, 2025, one of many meeting examples, council was informed that there was a hard deadline of December 31st, 2025 to begin a project that would fit within the scope of what RWB could perform. During that meeting, the primary issue was identified as the roof. It also was stated that by our city administrator that Hamilton County advised the city that the building parcels could not be separated. But, as some of you guys may remember, when council later sought clarification directly from Hamilton County professionals, we received conflicting information. During the same meeting, more statements were made by Chair of Budget and Finance, fueling the urgency to make a decision on our project by citing risks such as sending the ARPA funds back, paying higher insurance premiums on the abandoned building, which, by the way, our city administrator informed us that it is no longer considered abandoned, and also risk of displacing our public works. Later in that same meeting, the mayor stated that there was an open purchase order for the specific project and continued to verify that the building could not be torn down and parcels could not be separated. The city administrator stated that she had not received a new quote and emphasized that ARPA funds could not be used to demolish the building, further stressing that if demolition occurred, the city would be responsible for removing the asbestos ourselves. However, no quote, plan, or full wraparound assessment for demoing that building has been provided to council at that time. Despite repeated requests, like my initial inquiry in March of 2025 and my second formal written questions on May 27th, 2025, specifically question 18. Importantly, during the September 9th meeting, our city administrator welcomed council to conduct our own research. I want to be clear that I have not stopped doing my own research, and I have continued to do so. I want to do this exactly so that those who are inquiring about the building and the ARPA funds get the answers that they deserve. On November 3rd in 2025, council was again told that there was a firm deadline of December 31st, 2025, reinforcing the urgency to move forward or risk losing our funds. Based on just those 2 meetings alone, because there were other meetings, Council was repeatedly led to believe that immediate action was required or the opportunity would be lost. However, we are now learning in January of 2026 that research is actively being conducted to determine whether ARPA funds may in fact be used beyond the date, whether the project is like wrapping the electrical boxes for beautification can occur outside of the previously stated time frame. During that meeting, could y'all imagine my surprise? To further clarify, I personally spoke with Jean Berry. To my understanding, it's our ARPA fund representative, who stated that the city can still use ARPA funds through December 31st, 2026, and the funds can be used to demolish a building. So here we go again, conflicting information from professionals, but that's okay. Given these discrepancies, there is clearly a deficit in institutional confidence, and it is my desire that we work together to address this effectively. I am requesting that myself, the Chair of Community, City Development, and Chair of Budget and Finance, which is Councilwoman Zorb, meet with our City Administrator in a conference call setting so that we can collectively receive the same factual information at the same time from the appropriate professionals. My goal is alignment, as everyone else's. My goal is for clarity, and my goal is to ensure that council's decisions around any project is grounded in verified facts, not pressure, not urgency, one-sided opinions or incomplete information. So I'm excited to work together and figure out what we can do with these ARPA funds. Lastly, what I would like to add is I had the pleasure of going over to College Station and checking them out. Food was great. The atmosphere was even better. And I look forward to going there more often. That's all I have.
Madam President.
Ms. Nichols.
Ms. Gaston.
Yes,
in
ma'am.
your report, you gave a date that the mayor said something.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you run that back?
Yes, ma'am. So it was during the meeting on November 3rd when we were at the Center for the Blind. It was the day before election.
And what did I say?
You stated, sorry, I gotta look at my notes because I don't want to misquote. You were just, again, confirming the deadline of December 31st, 2025 to start a project.
No, you specifically said that I said something.
Yes. No, let's see. I can't find it at this time, but it was just, oh, here it is. Mayor stated that there was an open purchase order. So that was in September. And the question about November 3rd was just reconfirming the ARPA deadlines to start a project.
Purchase order.
Mm-hmm.
For
the 1500 building.
480,000.
I'm sorry.
For the 1500 building, the $480,000 purchase order.
Madam
And
President.
you took that from the meeting from what?
September 9th. And I actually have the timestamp of that too. It's just not with me right now if we want to review it together.
I don't need to review it with you. I can
Madam President.
Ms. Dukestein.
Can I ask the relevance of that in your, what is it, call to members?
Yes.
Not the relevance of the whole thing, but the relevance of that particular statement.
Which statement? I mean, a lot of statements.
Mayor stated that there was an open PO.
Oh, she was just stating facts that we had an open PO, which is true. We had an open PO that was open December 31st of 2024, and she was just restating information that we knew.
Madam President.
Ms. Nichols.
I'm trying to understand the relevance as well. I mean, because the way that it was presented,
Mm-hmm.
you presented it as if it wasn't true.
Well, I'm confirming that it is true and that
Okay.
we all know that open PO was open for RWB December 31st of 2024. The important piece, I guess the relevance, which is what you're asking me, is I put that in there to show that we have to work with RWB. to do whatever project it is that we have to do. And that's where the open PO, it was for RWB. We can't deviate and go with a different person or contractor. And there was a sense of urgency because we needed to start a project by December 31st of 2025. That was my understanding.
Ms. Claire, next.
Miss Alexander.
Well, mine isn't as deep in as that one, but I always appreciate everyone's viewpoint and everything like that. But I wanted to welcome Officer Lewis and Officer Pardue. Welcome them to North College Hill. Also, congratulations to Sergeant Wiley and Sergeant Jackson. And I would also like to thank State Representative Abrams. She always comes with a wealth of knowledge and information. No matter where I see her, whether it's here in the city or in other venues, it's always, hey, open door policy, ask me any question. I would like to say congratulations to the North College Hill basketball team over their victory over Deer Park. Also, let's see, I got an opportunity to serve yesterday for an MLK celebration for first generation UC students. Got to talk to some students they were first generation college students, and this particular group provided such a wonderful mentorship for those who may not have guidance. And it had me to reflect, I've returned back to school, but I'm like, hey, if there was an organization like this, First Gen, who assists where, a person whose parents never went to college, so they might not have the guidance to say, hey, you need to check in with your advisor. Mm-hmm. Do you, need toiletries? Do you need to come in and talk? So it was interesting. We packed items for the students. We talked to them. They were also able to talk to people who were in STEM programs and various other healthcare venues, and it was just a wonderful opportunity to talk to these young people. And let's see, I think that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Ms. Keratin.
Thank you so much, Clerk of Council, to all of Council and our guests and our city administration. It's such an honor to serve each of you in this aspect. Sometimes I reflect as being a citizen who used to sit in the audience for a long time, and so it feels really good to be here to serve each of you. I also want to thank Cindy Abrams for her time and her attention to the city of North College Hill, carving out some time to be here and to give a very well thought out report. I feel like that was what we needed right now. It lets us set the tone of what we need to do at the local level so that she can do what she does at the state level. I am also happy to see the growth in our police department. That is amazing. Congratulations to Sergeant Jackson, Sergeant Wiley, and to our new police officers, Lewis and Pardue. We are glad to have you here in North College Hill. I am also very excited to hear that College Station is open. It is open and they are ready for business. I've been a couple of times. My kid keeps saying, Mommy, can we go? Not just yet, but my husband and I, we've been over there a few times and we've had a great time. The food is good. The atmosphere is amazing. They have, I believe, what is the largest TV screen the number of TVs they put together to have the largest in any restaurant in the USA. So that's huge for them. So if you want dinner or hanging out or watching the football games or Indiana who won last night, woo woo, you can go to College Station. And in that same aspect, I am so thrilled to hear that our basketball team is now 14-2 after their big win against Deer Park. They are out there doing their big one. Congratulations to our boys basketball team. I encourage you to visit NCH Athletics on Facebook to get the schedule of games. Even if you can't go to every game, just to show up for 1 and 2 games, it definitely encourages our boys and the staff and other students to see familiar faces in the audience. And I am so excited that we have been blessed in North College Hill at the high school to have Coach Tyler Williams. If you know anything about him, he's not anything that you would just sneeze at. We are thrilled to have him in North College Hill, and even more thrilled that he recently brought Boston College to the city. This gives our young men and women the exposure for sports, for recruitment, and what their future will look like after graduation. So thank you, Coach Williams, and thank you, Boston College. Other happenings in North College Hill, Pastor Hudson, he is the pastor of Greater Faith Church of God in Christ. They are located between the Duncan and the bank. I can't recall the name of that bank, off of Hamilton Avenue. And they are doing some amazing things with our youth. Pastor Hudson would like to have everyone know they are having a youth outing on January the 31st. Now listen, if you have a young person in your home, or if our youth are looking for an activity, have them reach out to Pastor Hudson on Facebook so that they can go somewhere safe, it's fun, and just have a really good time with their church. And I think I maybe failed to mention one thing. I'm thrilled that we have our first African-American female police officer in North College Hill. History is being made in the city. And so, again, congratulations to our police department. We had our neighborhood watch meeting, our first one on January the 13th. We had about 20 to 25 people present. One of our citizens, Miss Linda Stagman, she was able to give an interview. You probably saw her on Fox 19. And so I am thrilled to see the collaborations with our police department, with our community. And I said before, it takes more than just me worrying about my 4 and no more. I have to look at my neighbor on my left, my right. If I see something, we have to say something. There is a lot of good things that are happening in this city. And as I always say, new city, new day, new dawn. I'm glad to serve you.
Miss Claire.
Thank you. I just had a couple of things. I also want to congratulate the new officers who are joining us, and also the promotions. Prior work history in corporate land, there's such a thing as having too flat of an organization or too deep of an organization. Finding that balance, between your upper management, middle management, and everybody else, that your leaders from within in the organization. That's always tricky, finding that good balance. But in a lot of ways, it's a good thing because it does help with continuity of service, especially if someone is out for a while, then there's still that continuity in the department so things don't stagnate. I also want to thank Cindy Abrams for coming and speaking with us. That was extremely informative. Those of you who have seen my gobbledygook notes, I've got like half a page of notes here. But I was really happy that she came, and I learned a lot, and I took some notes on some things I want to learn more about. So I'll be doing that. The other thing I did want to ask about, and I know that we were firing a lot of questions at the administrator during her time for her report, but I just had a couple of more, if that's okay, during my time here. We had a resident come and speak to council at the last meeting, expressing some concerns, and I did note that she was speaking with you, and she spoke with Interim Chief Cheney during the course of the meeting, after the meeting. So I didn't know if there was a follow-up on her situation.
Yes, there is. So Chief Cheney followed up with her, the code enforcement followed up with her, I followed up with her, and so I didn't actually speak with her. I left a message, and I don't know that she called me back, but she got with both of them. So there was some parking. What they were able to do according to our NCH ticketing they did do for the parking issues that she was having and, kind of circulating. And then the trash, it wasn't actually, even though she said Sundale, she's not actually talking about on Sundale. It was a Catter Corner house. I think she can see it from her backyard, but we did place a notice of violation, and they have an amount of time, which is 5 days to clear up the trash. When they went back to look to see if the trash had been cleaned up, it had not. So we dispatched our contractor out to come and remediate the property in order to get the trash.
Okay, great. My second question, you mentioned that the street repair schedule would be on the website or was on the website, and I did see that Merle Avenue was posted to the website. Will there be like a list of the streets that are due to be, or is that the only one this summer? That's the only one this summer? Okay, that answers that question. Okay. We talked earlier about the nameplates for us, and I didn't know what the procedure should be, and this is something that we were going to talk about in rules, but if council needs to purchase something, or we want to, like, for example, logo T-shirts for the new council members or business cards, do we work through the clerk to work with you, or what is that communication flow? What should that look like? And we were going to talk about that in rules, but it's my understanding that it's more urgent. The finance manager stated that she had sent us a policy, and she did, and I got it from someone, I can't remember, it was a while back, but that we needed to move forward on that. So what do you need from council in terms of that policy? And the second part of that question is, what would be the most effective and efficient way that you're recommending that we can talk about my committee so that council internally can get these things acquired that we need? In years past, it's like a half an hour conversation to talk about something really minor. So if we can get the process outlined, it might make things go a little smoother for all parties involved. So that was a two-part question.
Just writing it down so I captured
Sure.
the whole answer. So the initial expenditure policy process is been distributed to you. If you guys can just talk about it. I think it was initially given to you guys in October or November of last year. And you guys agreed to table it to have time to review it. And then we came back when we didn't get a response. So now it's a new council group. So if you could just review that policy. I know that we don't necessarily have any stewardship over how you decide to approve it amongst yourselves. I think the clerk was the point of contact just because you need somebody to kind of approve those purchases in correlation with the budget. So that is that. The rest of it, I think, number 3 on to the rest, those are all kind of regulations that we need to follow as it pertains to the process for the state audit. Is there, I know you had reached out to me, is there any clarity or process that they said, hey, you need to do this? No, we just put you on the same process for spending money as every other individual department from, I think, number 3 down. And then in terms of the logo T-shirts and business cards, typically the HR person would handle that. I can make sure that those get ordered. And then the logo T-shirts, are you wanting the same logo T-shirts that we kind of distribute to the employees, or do you want your own?
I don't see any reason why they would have to be different, but I know that if we, like in the past when I would go to like something for Center for Local Government or some of these seminars that are around, a lot of the other city people who are there have, I'm from Green Township or I'm from Harrison or something. They have something that identifies them as being a member of that community. And I don't remember if council members have had those shirts in the past. But I think it would be nice, especially if we're out in the community or attending some of these other things, that we have something similar.
So what we have done is we've distributed 2 shirts to you guys. Some of you guys that are new, we haven't gotten to the shirts yet. We're kind of placing order on a quarterly basis. And so I was planning to pick you up to get the order placed at that time. But there are some shirts, extra ones, if you, with some various sizes. If you guys stop up, I can let you go through the stash and you could pick a shirt. Not for the ones that have already received the shirt, but for those that are yet to get a shirt.
Okay.
Because we already supplied you with 2 shirts. And then the business cards, I can just order those.
Okay.
I can, when we meet tomorrow, we can walk through it.
I'm sorry, and this one last question, if that's all right. And this is just for clarity's sake. This is kind of a hot seat question, but the Veterans Park grant with NatureWorks, it's my understanding, and I was trying to refresh my memory on the process from when I applied for the grant in the first place. So I went out to their website. And I remember in the last meeting you mentioned that, I think it might have been the City Community Development and Recreation meeting, that because it's cold, the project can't move forward right now. However, after we had the fully executed agreement, then the very next step was to get the design specifications put together via engineer, architect, landscape architect, and we had to send those designs to ODNR for approval. So I'm wondering, have we done that step yet? And is that because that doesn't seem to me to be weather dependent. So have we done that step yet, or is that in the works?
No, that step has not been done. So we went through your notes, and that wasn't denoted in there. So,
but it is on the paperwork from the grantor themselves that was step 2. There's like a sheet that says the steps to completing the project, and it says do 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It's got, and I didn't know if that was in that packet but it is definitely on their website.
So, again, we went through your notes and the project. So we did not have a rec director, and we're not working on it. Ms. Shiva nor I would be working on that to finish out that project. And then we went into the colder weather. So no, that step has not been completed.
Okay.
So
I did have a walkthrough with JMA, so they are at least familiar with the lay of the land, and I don't know if that might be a resource.
I want to address something that, just because you brought that up, I normally would not, but I want to make sure that I do address it. So it has been said that every single time that I'm asked about this, I give a different answer. I actually do not. I've given the same answer, even via email for those that have emailed me. I'm still discovering what this grant, how we're supposed to operate within it. Again, that is a rec director thing. Ms. Shiva, Stevens, Knott, and I. And then initially when we had the vacancy, we were picking the project back up in months where we can't actually complete it. That step we were not aware of. There's a lot of tangible pieces that go into completing the grant. We want to do it properly and given the space. We are not under a time restriction. I definitely appreciate your hard work, Ms. Clear, at getting the grant. We will definitely follow through with making sure that the city gets the ramps that are designated for that park. We all want to see the parks accessible and friendly to a diverse group of people, and that was the goal behind what you wanted to do there. And the city is the city's current desire is to see that just completed.
So would it be helpful, and I'm just offering this, I know I'm sitting in a different chair now, but for knowledge transfer purposes, to get together and kind of just, I don't know, what would be helpful?
That might be helpful. And so when we're ready to kind of move on that, there's some things that we need to wrap up. We need to close out the year, and there's just some very pressing things on our calendar right now. So we will.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. Clear.
Mr. Davis.
Okay. Yes. First of all, yes, I'd like to join in with everybody in saying hi, hello, welcome to our new officers. And I can say I haven't lived here that long, and when I moved to North College Hill, the only black officer we had was O'Neill. If y'all remember, O'Neill was the dog. So we've moved far, but we've made some progress, but there's still some more to go. Now, going forward, yesterday was Yet yesterday we observed the Martin Luther King holiday, and sometimes as a person who sits back and read and does a lot of reading, sometimes you try to think like, okay, how do I match up some of the things and the times and the talks from back then and apply it to now? Martin Luther King in 1967 gave a speech to the American Psychological Association. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And speaking about the word maladjusted, you know, and Dr. King stated, yes, it's understood that things that are maladjusted, that haven't adapted or haven't adjusted, they need to be destroyed. And we all must seek a well-adjusted life in order to avoid neurotic or schizophrenic personalities. Now, however, Dr. King flipped this and questioned it and said sometimes there's a point to have not necessarily maladjustment isn't a bad thing. Maybe it's the idea of creative maladjustment. Because as Dr. King said, there are some things in our world that we should never be adjusted. There are some things that concern us that we should always be maladjusted to if we're to be people of goodwill. For example, we must never adjust ourselves to racial discrimination or racial segregation. We must never adjust ourselves to religious bigotry. We must never adjust ourselves to say somebody doesn't belong or somebody doesn't match here because they don't look the way we want them to look. They don't talk the way we want them to look. They adhere to a different belief system that we want to believe. And so, if we buy into the same maladjustment that inspires us to come in and pour into an institution and to try to give our personal efforts to improve upon an institution, we also must retain or develop the self-awareness that also recognizes that replacing a deadening pessimism with a superficial optimism is not necessarily progress. Yes, as we adjust, we must make sure that we're adjusting in a progressive manner and make sure that we're lifting people up as we climb. And also in things that are more important, Trojan basketball. Tuesday, January 27, 2026, there's a boys basketball, girls basketball doubleheader. The girls play Hughes at 6 o'clock, the boys play Hughes at 7:30. Be there.
Ms. Chichester?
Mr. Davis, I thought you were going to say something different about O'Neill in reference to what Mayor said about getting the K-9 officer. I was just nodding in agreement because I thought you were going to tie the two together. But yes, congratulations to the boys, to the basketball teams, the middle school and the high school. Sometimes we forget it and leave the middle school out. They're also doing awesome as well. And I just want to say thank you to the community. They did a phenomenal job with helping them get donations to get to Florida. After Christmas, they went down to Florida for a tournament. So our coaches, these team members sacrificed time with family over the holidays to play the sport they love, and they did a good job down there. So kudos to those guys. And kudos to those coaches on a bus with teenage boys to Florida. So my hat's off to them. But thank you to the community for donating their driveways to be shoveled, donating the shovel, donating some hats for some of the guys. Really showed what community is all about inside North College Hill. And congrats to our officers. I met the young woman back in December. There was a call on my street. She was there, and I kind of like did a double take in the car. Like she had a uniform on. I was like, "She's ours." They was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Welcome." So I was very excited to see that. Also, I was excited. I wasn't able to attend the neighborhood watch meeting last week they had on the 13th, but I was so excited to see that a conversation that was started back in April of 2025 is starting to move to light. Chief asked before moving forward, let's get our NRO officer in place and before making that happen. And now the NRO officer is being promoted and someone else is now hopefully is going to take those reins and
continue that work on. So I got high hopes on that. And to piggyback off what everybody else has been talking about, I won't give a quote, but I will just say, yesterday we honored Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, right? And today in North College Hill, we had our first African-American woman. We have one of our first sitting here as well with us. So to still be having those first in 2026 is really giving me a lot to ponder in our society. But Dr. King's legacy reminds us that leadership is rooted in service, humility, and dignity. So since 2000, I spent Martin Luther King Day serving others, because he always asks, how can you serve? What is your call? So that is what I believe is the true meaning on that day. It's not just words, it's actually actions. So I've done numbers of volunteer projects over the day on Martin Luther King Day, and I've made my children voluntold as well happen to do it. It's a word in our household, voluntold. So yeah, and I think that's it for me. Oh, wait, I did forget one thing. College Station, Sliders, I love them. So that place has the hugest TV I ever seen. I think we probably could see it from here. It's so big. But I'm happy not only to College Station, but to the new furniture store around the corner. Mr. Oh, I can't forget his name. I forgot his name. I should have wrote it down.
Hicklin.
What is it?
Hicklin.
Hicklin. No, I was thinking him and his wife name. They're the sweetest couple ever. Going to that store, you have a great conversation. Also, my guy Ivan at the grocery store, he has his meat counter up. So we have another option in North College Hill besides Kroger for our fresh fruits, fresh meat, and vegetables. So check them out. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, further remarks from the audience? Okay, legislation?
Do you have a copy of the legislation? She has something. You got a copy. Do you want me to?
We have a first reading of resolution number 1-2026, a resolution expressing formal censure regarding certain statements and conduct by a member of City Council during an official meeting.
Okay. Okay, next I see on our agenda is executive session.
Madam President,
Ms. Clerk.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose of, actually, I rescind. The whole thing isn't here, and I'm not prepared to read the whole, I don't have the
Madam
documentation in front of me, so I rescind.
Ms. Gaston.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session in pursuant of Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, to enter into executive session under Section G1 to talk about the hire and firing of a public employee.
Okay, do I have a second?
Madam President, I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Zorb to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, to enter into executive session under Section G1 to talk about the hire and firing of public employees. Roll call. Roll call. Roll call. I was just wanting emphasis, apparently, with my thing. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitan?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
So we're on the second page of our agenda. Does anybody have any old business?
Madam President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I do have some old business. So I wanted to address some of the things that Ms. Gaston pointed out in her call of members. So I'm disappointed because although she did give some dates outlining some of her experiences, or council as a whole's experiences, some other dates that should have been included were not included. For example, I'd like to start with the time that she and Ms. Zorb called down to Hamilton County to inquire about whether or not we could separate the parcels. So initially I said to them, yes, we cannot separate the parcels. We cannot physically, there's a process that you can go through to physically separate the parcels. That is just the land. Parcel is identifying the land. However, when you add a structure on that parcel, and I have the email, and I came to council, I actually even printed out the email from the engineer at Hamilton County. And I made reference to Ms. Zorb's and Ms. Gaston's conversation. She actually had remembered speaking with them. And then she wrote me back, and I asked her to put it in writing. I have the email to say what the process would be. That is governed by our city inspector, which we talked to our city inspector. We talked to 3 different ones, and they gave statements saying that we would not be able to divide the parcels that way. So my disappointment is that although I came back with that information, sometimes it's the narrative is put out there that I said this, and then we go with that. But I also came back with a rebuttal to clarify that and to correct some of the misunderstanding around that. And that, for me, professionally, isn't fair. The other thing is the higher insurance. We are subject to higher insurance. Currently, we are not experiencing the higher insurance payment because they are seeing the buildings as one, because the appendagers are and that is the water lines, the electrical lines, and the plumbing lines are connected to the main frame building.
Correct.
So they are looking at it as one structure. But we cannot continue to operate like that. We will have to be actionable for that building. So that's why the ad hoc committee is still important, because we need to decide the future of that building, 1500, regardless of whether we tear it down or whatever. Something has to be done. We as a city do not want to incur the amount of cost that it's going to take for us to pay an insurance premium on a vacant building. The other part of that she said was that it would displace public works. If we have to do something about that building and they don't have the appropriate structure for plumbing and all of those things in the structure that they're in, it would displace public works. Where else would they go in the city? I don't know. That would be for us to figure out as we journey through what is appropriate for 1500. But that statement is not a false statement. We would absolutely displace public works. So I said that we needed to start on the project by December 31st of 2025, yes, which is true. If you will remember, I encumbered the money to RWB and I put it over a span of projects. One of the things that was a misstatement was that the money was potentially going through the wrapped electrical boxes. There are 2 electrical box situations that we're talking about. One of the council members, I believe it was Ms. Clear, talked about in committee wrapping the electrical boxes. We are in that process to wrap the electrical boxes with pretty designs. Those are $1,400 a box. They require us getting approval through an engineer. I was not going to use that grant money, ARPA money. There is another grant that was solidified that we could possibly use that money for to do that. The electrical boxes that I was referring to, that we use the ARPA funds for to get the project started in the 25 year to see if that quantifies, were the boxes that were ruined because of the repair work on Galbraith Avenue, which is now complete. And so we did need to start a project. Actually, we had to give an update on the start of the project by March 15th of 2025. And so if we start a project, then we can extend that spending through December 31st of 2026. So did I press urgency? Absolutely. Because it is necessary that we do something about the building for more than one reason. One, because if we don't, we will have a vacant building that we are paying insurance on. Two, we need to do something about the building because we are raising standards in the code enforcement department, but we have a blighted building ourselves. I promise you, I have emails that I can send to you where citizens have challenged us at the condition of our building while we are serving them notices of violation. Number three, the urgency is if we don't do something about the building, it continues to deteriorate. Whereas we have options on this side of the deterioration, we won't have any options in a minute because it's going to be so far gone, we can't do anything with it. So yes, there was a state of urgency, plus we needed to use the money. We needed to get started on the project. But when you all made a decision that says I could not spend the money that way, which is fine, I'm not trying to browbeat you about that, I started looking for other ways to spend the money because I don't want the city to lose the money. I told you that ahead of time. That is not me misrepresenting the situation. That is me going with the curveballs of what the council group, former council group, set in order to see the better outcome for the city. I don't know what else you want me to do. If we cannot spend the money or you don't choose to allocate the funds to spend the money in that building, isn't it right to still try to start a project to save the money so that we're not restricted by that? That was a decision made at the last hour to try to get the resources saved within the city. Am I able to save all of the resources? I am not sure. Mr. Gene Berry, who you spoke to, he does not know the intricacies of everything that is about our project because he's not the contact that I've been speaking to. However, his information, based on what you said, 12/30/26, isn't wrong, as long as we started a project before the end of 2025. So that can be captured if RWB did our boxes. That's why I had them do the electrical boxes, so that we could start a project on that side of the year so that we could possibly save the money. Instead of you looking at it as a win, you look at it as though I've deceived you in some way. It's a problem for me when you celebrate losses more than you celebrate wins. I've had some exceptional accomplishments this year, and it is disheartening to look at all the new council and the old and not acknowledge a one. And I am upset about it because it's not fair. You talk about working together, but you come and you bombard me with things like this as though I have not done my job. And that's not okay, and it's not fair. I'm going to go on. You said the mayor stated that there was an open PO. There is an open PO. I don't know the relevance to that in collaboration with this, because I opened a PO because it is the anticipation of spending funds because I thought that we would spend them. I can only do from that standpoint as it pertains to the building what you all distinctively direct me to do. As it relates to the quotes, as it pertains to demolishing the building, I have been getting those. I have two, but I don't have them in writing yet. I'm reeling them in. As it goes for the appraisal, I told Mayor to this today. You would send me an email about it, but I'll clarify. They didn't come on the 15th. There was a communication mix-up. They're scheduled again for this Friday. I don't have any control of that. Braden was where he was supposed to be. I established it the way that you asked. Everything that you've asked, I've done it, redid it, and did it again. I've sent out documents for you to say I didn't get them. And then I go to the email and forwarded it to you from where I sent it to you the first time.
Not me.
I don't know that you said you didn't get anything, though.
Didn't. I don't think anyone up here did.
That's not true. But we'll go on, because I'm not trying to be petty. I'm just trying to be clear. I want to be clarifying. But I am frustrated because I have a desire to do what is right. I'm not perfect, but I've had lots of wins, lots of them. There are city administrators, not to throw anybody down, that's been behind me, that have their things that I'm correcting that's way behind me. I worked tirelessly, even when there were vacancies that I could not control. I came into this role with lots of vacancies. And so I'm asking, if you all truly, this council group, want to be collaborative, then approach it that way. And I will give you the mutual respect. And that is it.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Ms. Curitan?
So I thank you for sharing your sentiments. I'll let since she was specifically addressing you, I will let you go forward. I just want to remind you and anyone here, this is our council meeting, and anyone here is a guest. And so I would ask that we keep that same momentum and that energy to know that this is as elected officials up here, this is our council meeting, and we do not have to receive the parade or whatever we want to call that. That's not what I believe we want our momentum to be. If there are dissatisfactions with information that was shared, that's fine, but a respectful way of sharing those sentiments would be requested, please, at our council meeting.
Ms. Gaston?
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. I heard Ms. Dukestein felt this was an attack. So specifically, let's go back to the urgency to make decisions on the project by citing risk. That created urgency. That I didn't say that you lied. None of that. That is true. What are we going to do with Public Works? What are we going to do if we don't start the project by December 31st? We talked about that a lot. There was an open PO, you just described it, where we went with RWB. Mayor reminded us that. So any wild idea to go with any other contractor, we can't do that. Period.com. There was a sense of urgency. I did mention on September 9th, I believe the date is, I apologize if it's incorrect, where we talked about calling down to Hamilton County and getting that information. We did. And I brought that up because you had opened and said, if y'all don't believe me, go ask. So I was leading into that. We have been here before where we got conflicting information.
But I clarified that information.
Yes, you
in
did.
writing. But you
that
missed
wasn't
that
the point.
But you missed that in this.
Excuse me, ladies.
Call the question.
We need, we're slowly and forcibly going down the drain of losing decorum right here. But one thing I think we need to remember, and then we need to move on for this evening, is that, yes, one thing I'm hearing from the administration and I'm hearing from council is we do want to work together. But I am hearing over and over from this table is communication issues, where we are asking questions and we're not getting maybe an answer that is maybe 2 times the same answer. So I think what would behoove us is just, I congratulate Ms. Gaston for asking earlier to maybe have a meeting of Ms. Gaston and Ms. Zorb and the city administrator to all get together, and maybe it be over the phone or in person, but something to where everybody's right there and you can go over everything that you're talking about, because no one's trying to overwrite wins, nobody's trying to lift up losses. But I think that's a good idea to at least try to bridge that gap, because it keeps being said, this is a new dawn, this is new council, we're going forward. Let's, in the spirit of going forward, let's agree to bridge that gap and go beyond our feelings and say, let's meet together and get all our information out on the table. And if there's questions from council, it's like, hey, wait, I have this question and I talked to this person, then immediately you can go, hey, I have this email, and in real time.
Madam President, last thing, I just wanted to clarify. At the end of our last council meeting, there were multiple citizens that asked me, what was that about? What was that about? So I was like, you know what? as I stated, the last thing I said, and Ms. Dukestein and Ms. Zorb, or Councilwoman Zorb, can account to this. When I am confused and I don't know what's going on and things are not in alignment, I ask for a conference call. We have done many Zooms with Ms. Alexander and previous Councilman Wilson. We've done this before. So I am requesting that we do that again so that we are one in line. There's clarity, because again, if I am being tasked to go out and do this research and I'm talking to Billy Bob over here and Billy Bob is like, I don't even know North College Hill. Let's make sure that Brielle, forget everybody else, Brielle is making sure she has the correct information, because people pull me aside at Kroger and ask questions, and I want to make sure I know what I am saying. And so what I am saying back to you is, I never said that any of the things that you said in here were lies. These were just things that are conflicting based off of my research, and I want to have a come to Jesus moment with whomever is representing us so that I am clear on what to do so that we can move forward. There's been a lot of hazy things going on as far as this particular project, because let's be honest, we kind of agree on some things. We don't disagree all the time. So that is all that my call of members was, to realign us so that we can move forward in 2026. No more surprises. I want to be in the know so I can do my job effectively.
And let me say this before we put a pin in this and move on.
Madam President, I have one more question I need answered before we move on, but go ahead.
About this?
About one of the items that Ms. Dukestein.
I'm just saying as a takeaway for tonight, I encourage Councilwoman Zorb, Councilwoman Gaston, and Ms. Dukestein. I keep wanting to call you City Administrator Dukestein. I apologize. That's why I keep hesitating before I say your name. I don't know why I keep wanting to do it. But I encourage you three, as a takeaway for tonight, to work on getting together in a Zoom call or in person and figure this out in open communication. Ms. Zorb.
Ms. Dukestein, I guess I'm confused about something, and just help me. The electrical boxes, and I think I saw a post on Facebook when people were asking why the lights weren't up, and then somebody said the electrical boxes. So, and I never remember hearing any kind of formal explanation, but in 10 words or less, did the contractors that paved Galbraith mess up the electrical boxes?
We think so.
So is there any kind of insurance claim against them?
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Any other old business?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
I have a piece of old business. In the CCDR committee, it was stated that I wanted to make a motion to dissolve the 1500 ad hoc committee as it stands currently.
Okay.
And that's it.
So are you making a motion?
Yes, I move that we dissolve the 1500 ad hoc committee.
Do I hear a second?
Madam President, I second.
Ms. Alexander. Okay. All right, I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Alexander to dissolve the ad hoc committee as it stands right now for the 1500 building.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Whoa, wait,
I think I was first.
were you first?
I just want to
Discussion.
clarify that dissolution of the committee does not result in dissolution of the project. It's just rolling back up to the primary committee where it lived in the first place.
Correct.
That's what we're doing.
Madam President.
All right.
May I
Hold on.
respond?
We had an order before. Was that you, Ms. Chichester?
Yes. I was looking to see in council rules that that committee is not governed by council. Isn't it that that committee gets dissolved within that committee? Isn't it like they have to be the ones to dissolve it, not us? Because if we're saying at the last committee meeting that we're dissolving it to bring it back, I'm trying to understand why are we dissolving it and then bringing it back? So why even dissolve it in the first place if you're just going to bring it back? I'm trying to ask for clarity. I wasn't on that committee, so I didn't get to ask that question.
So to answer part of that,
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
So the way the ad hoc committee is structured right now is not conducive and making sure that we get adequate information. That's why I would like to dissolve this one, and together we create another one with citizens and people who have professional expertise in the project as council sees fit to move forward with it.
Madam President,
Wait, sorry, who was the Madam
that was
President?
me.
Ms. Chichester.
They had the professionals come to the meeting and give the report. So the committee is made up of current citizens and council representation. So to say those current committee members, not saying that they're inadequate, but not saying that they're not the experts, but it was designed to have community input in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the professionals come in to speak at that committee meeting. So what is the understanding of dissolving it just to put different members in place? That's not fair to the members that have given their time currently.
Madam President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I would like to add that not only did experts that evaluated the building, who had actually been in the building, attend the ad hoc meeting, there was an inspector that was hired by the city of Cincinnati, who had never set foot in the building. They gave his perspective and opinion per the ask of someone on the building, when the inspectors who actually have the jurisdiction, know the history of the building, and have been in the building, opinion was not warranted as an expert.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I, at the risk of sounding obstructionist, I want to clarify that the motion on the floor is dissolution of a committee. So the terminology matters.
Mm-hmm.
Was this set up as an ad hoc committee of council, or was it set up as a subcommittee of the CCDR committee?
Madam
Because I
Chair?
think that determines what our steps are in terms of how we move forward with this question.
Ms. Gaston?
And
Madam
that
Chair?
matters. There's a difference.
So during my CCDR, I did mention that, and I had to do research per the request of our city administrator. So I wanted to, in accordance to 1.21 and the ORC, make sure that it was done in an open meeting so that all of council can hear what it is that my desires are moving forward with this 1500 building. So that's why I brought it here. It is a subcommittee of the CCDR committee.
Okay, so Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
So, and if that's the case, I don't know, and again, I need to do my own research on it. Does all of council then control what happens with subcommittees, or is it just that committee chairperson that determines what happens with subcommittees?
Let me say one thing.
According to the charter, but according to council rules, but I know we're tired. So it's a question that's a nuts and bolts question. So that's why I want just clarity that we're doing this the right way.
Madam
So
President.
let me say one thing, is that
Correct.
this subcommittee was created by a motion.
Mhm.
It can be dissolved by a motion.
Madam President.
Ms. Zorb?
To add a little more context, it was created by the chair of CCDR during a council meeting. So council did vote on it and council did approve it.
Right.
So I feel like council should be the deciding factor to dissolve it or dissolution or whatever terminology we're using.
Ms. Alexander, were you saying something, or was that a yawn?
Madam,
I don't know.
Madam President, Madam President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I would just say whether you choose to, it is your, in my opinion, it is your purview to dissolve or not dissolve. That's not the question in my nuts and bolts, but I do appreciate the legality that Ms. Clear brought to the table. However, you have to ask yourself the ethics in being able to dissolve of it when it didn't actually satisfy what it was originally set to satisfy. When you are dismissing the opinion of the people and that stepped up and the time efficacy and effort that
Madam
they
President.
put into it.
Ms. Gaston?
In the CCDR meeting, I stated that we were going to keep the information, and all the work that was requested to be done would still come to the CCDR. All of the work, what work did we didn't even come to a conclusion. We were still in the phase of getting information and not having a conversation back and forth. So we really didn't get anywhere yet. So I want to make sure that everybody here understands that I'm not kicking something because it didn't go somebody's way. Let's restart. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new city, and get a new ad hoc going. So, Madam President, I call the question.
Do I have a second?
I second.
So I have a motion on the floor to call the question from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Curitin. Roll call.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston? Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
And may I ask if we're voting on the call the question or? are we
Call the
voting on
question.
Call the question.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Davis?
No.
Ms. Chichester?
No.
Motion pass 5-2.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston to dissolve the, can you restate? I apologize. I'm losing brain
To dissolve
connectivity.
the 1500 ad hoc committee as it
Stands right now. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Curitin to dissolve the 1500 building committee, subcommittee, as it stands right now.
Correct.
Roll call.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston? Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
No.
Mr. Davis?
No.
Ms. Chichester?
No.
Motion pass 4-3.
Any other old business? I have a bit of new business, real quick. I know it's late. So, per conversation with Ms. Dukestein, we were speaking about Sergeant at Arms. And we were talking about, because in the rules of council, it mentions a Sergeant at Arms, and currently Interim Chief Cheney has been filling that position. And there was some questions in regards to the position and how going forward, number one, if he would continue still doing it, and if he was not able to do it in an evening, if someone would fill in for him. And I did notice tonight he left, and then another police officer did stop by and was, so that, that was very heartening. Probably not saying the right words, I'm tired. And then the second question was more of how they would act in safety and kind of positioning in the room. What I had wanted and what I envisioned for this part was obviously going to be 2 hours earlier in the evening, but I was hoping to get everybody together and get their buy-in for this. So, but as it being late, Ms. Dukestein, can you confirm that at least until the next meeting that Interim Chief Cheney would still be fulfilling his role as Sergeant at Arms?
So either him or another
someone else.
officer.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what
Okay.
we agreed to until the three of us meet.
Okay.
And I
Well-
think, are you gathering what your expectations are?
If you let me finish, I will.
Okay.
Okay. So what I want everybody to do is between now and our next meeting, if everybody would think about what they want to see with Sergeant at Arms. Are they happy with the way things are working? Do you have some ideas on how, concerns maybe of maybe placement or anything? And bring that back to the next meeting so that we can have your buy-in as to what you feel Sergeant at Arms would do for council and what your expectations or concerns are.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitin.
I'm just curious. I have always seen Chief Cheney here at almost every council meeting, all of 2025, 2024. What changed? Did something change administratively where his schedule doesn't permit him to come any longer?
He was here. He was here last week and this week. Are you asking me? I'm sorry.
I am. What I've been used to is him being here from beginning until end. Has anything changed administratively or his schedule that permits him to no longer be present?
No, today we had a very early meeting, and he wanted to go out with his officers and congratulate their families. Mr. Watson stepped in, or Officer Watson stepped in, and so he thought we were wrapping up, and I did too. So he was like, "Can I go?" I said, "Sure."
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan?
so in that type of communication, the Sergeant of Arms is here, from my understanding, for council, not necessarily for administration. I believe that communication should have been between our president of council and that particular officer, whether it's whomever. I don't want to start naming
Ms.
any
Curitan,
names.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And like I said, put that down. We will discuss that at our next meeting.
We already discussed it, though. When we had our organizational meeting, we had already set the standard and the precedent, and it now seems as if that might be changing. So I want to encourage and refer everyone back to our organizational meeting on January the 3rd, where we set the precedent of what we needed.
Okay, Ms. Dukestein, in future, if you're going to dismiss the Sergeant at Arms, can you please let me know?
Madam
appreciate it.
President?
Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't here on that organizational meeting. You all have to update your rules, and you were supposed to be giving me an update of what that changed to. I have not yet received that. And so those, the police, they report to me. And so I will definitely keep them here during the time that you all are in session.
Thank you.
But if they have an emergency
Of
or
course.
something today, they were dismissed based on me.
Okay.
That was a misunderstanding because I'm waiting on the rules that need to be updated.
Ms. Clear.
Put it in your packet.
Ms.
Okay.
Clear.
Yeah,
Well,
there-
even if you put it in my package, I just got it tonight. I did not have an opportunity to read it.
Yes, so she does have the copy of the rules. Okay,
yes, I'm
thank
going to upload that probably tomorrow at this point, since you guys seem to be good with the copies.
That's fine. Okay, so that's the extent of my new business. Anyone else? Do I hear any other motions floating around?
Madam President.
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
I'm just kidding. I would like to make a motion to adjourn
Madam
tonight's
President.
meeting.
Ms. Zorb?
I'd like to second.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston, a second from Ms. Zorb to adjourn. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yep.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitan?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester? Motion passed 7-0.